now this is interesting, right? The fleet starts to tack behind Finley, behind 111. And now there's a big question. What shall we do? Are we sailing on a lift or on a header? The conditions are oscillating. So what shall we do? Shall we continue sailing or shall we wait to tack? What do you think we should do? Think about it. You can see how slowly Finley, that he was winning the race in this point. You can see how slowly he starts falling behind, right? So that's either because of him not sailing quick or because of the wind turning left. So at this point, it's very important for you to understand when will be the right moment to tack. And here you have two options that you may consider. Start it on a leaf coming this way. As soon as you start sailing on a header, it's important that you tack, so you continue sailing on a lift until you go in a header again, and then you may tack again and make it to the buoy, right? That will be the ideal race if you will be alone, right? Now, what happens if you're sailing with a bigger fleet? Let's say that the fleet, in this case Patrick, started over here, right? So as soon as you both start going into a header, yeah, if you're the blue boat and you start falling behind him, you have two ways to think of this. One is thinking, how close am I to a ley line? Is it worth trying to push him? Is it worth trying to force him, to push him to go as close as possible to a ley line? Or is it worth to sail with a lift? What are you trying to do? What could you do? You could do both. You could try to hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it with him, so he has less room, and then when the wind does go left, then you can choose to tack on leeward of him, so he will end up tacking and you will tack on leeward of him. That's what you did. Or you can choose to do your own race and tack as soon as you get into a header. So both options are fine, right? You could attack by pushing him to a ley line, so you could attack by sailing your own race. Now, what is something important for you to consider? Well, what is the rest of the fleet doing? If the rest of the fleet, at this point, they all started going behind you, and all of a sudden, you find yourself as the left boat, say here, then there's a chance that as soon as you start sailing and you get the next header, there's a chance that all these boats can get into the header too and tack and cross over you. Alright? So it's super important for you to understand whether you're gonna attack and protect these boats, one or two boats, or if you're gonna attack or protect, let's say, protect the elite that you have amongst the fleet, right? And this is super important for you to consider, and both options are fine. You can choose to do both things. How are you gonna choose, and what are you gonna be thinking when you choose? Well, the most important advice is always to keep the strategy before the tactics, and to realize and to know how big will this wind shift be and how positive you are about the wind shifts before you decide to position yourself in the middle of the fleet, right? So strategy before tactics. If you're thinking on strategy before tactics, most likely you're gonna attack somewhere in between. You're not gonna go so deep sailing into a header. You're gonna stay in control of the wind shifts, and then if he passes you, it's only one boat that passed you, right? You're still gonna be top 5, but you're not gonna get greedy with one boat and then have the rest of the fleet pass you because you are just thinking on covering only one boat.